For 0.8 of a second, nobody knew the shot had been fired. The projectile was too small and moving too fast for normal sensors to detect. It crossed the distance between the hidden facility and the alien fleet in what felt like an instant. But to those waiting, those 0.8 of a second lasted forever. Dr. Minji watched her screens, tracking the projectile's path. The calculations were perfect. The trajectory was exact, but there were so many variables. A slight change in the flagship's position, a piece of debris in the path. Anything could ruin everything. 700,000 kilometers, Ji-won reported, his voice tight. 600,000. 500,000. Admiral Dongwu stood frozen in the command center. Every person in the room held their breath. The entire human fleet had stopped firing, watching and waiting. Even the aliens seemed to sense something was wrong. Their advance slowed. On the flagship, High Commander Krell frowned at his tactical display. Why have the humans stopped attacking? Unknown, High Commander. They've ceased fire and are maintaining distance. Scan for... Alarms shrieked across the alien ship. Every sensor suddenly detected the incoming projectile. But by the time the warning systems activated, it was far too late. The tungsten rod hit the flagship dead center, exactly where Dr. Minji had calculated. At 900 kilometers per second, it didn't just penetrate the shields. It ignored them completely, passing through energy barriers like they didn't exist. The projectile punched through the hull with so much force that the metal simply vaporized. It tore through 40 decks in a microsecond, smashing through bulkheads, equipment, and crew without slowing down. Everything in its path ceased to exist, converted to superheated plasma by the kinetic energy. Then the antimatter charges detonated. The explosion started at the heart of the ship and expanded outward faster than anything could react. Matter and antimatter annihilated each other, releasing energy according to Einstein's famous equation. E equals mc squared. Even a small amount of antimatter released incredible power. The flagship didn't just break apart. It transformed into pure energy. A sphere of white-hot plasma expanded from the impact point, consuming the ship from the inside out. Metal, plastic, organic matter, everything was instantly converted to gas and stripped atoms. The 15-kilometer vessel lasted less than 4 seconds before it ceased to exist as a physical object. The explosion continued expanding, a miniature star blooming in space. The shockwave hit nearby alien ships with devastating force. Vessels that had survived for centuries were crumpled like paper. Shields overloaded and failed. Hulls buckled and tore open. The alien formation so perfect moments before became chaos. 30 ships were destroyed outright, consumed by the expanding fireball. Another 50 were crippled, their systems destroyed by the electromagnetic pulse from the antimatter explosion. Debris from the flagship became shrapnel, shooting outward at tremendous velocity and punching through armor on dozens more ships. In 3.7 seconds, humanity had destroyed or disabled over half the Dominion fleet. Aboard the Horizon, Jinwoo and his crew stared at their screens in shocked silence. They had known the weapon was powerful, but seeing it, witnessing the sheer scale of destruction, left them speechless. Did that just happen? Yuna whispered. Yes, Taeyang breathed. It actually worked. Nari's fighter squadron had a perfect view of the explosion. The light was so bright it temporarily blinded several pilots' sensors. When the display cleared, the alien fleet was scattered and burning. All fighters, this is squadron leader, Nari said, her voice shaking with emotion. Reform and prepare for attack runs. The enemy is vulnerable. Press the advantage. In the hidden facility, Dr. Minji slumped in her chair, overwhelmed with relief. We hit them. We actually hit them. Colonel Hyunwoo was already working on his console. Weapon is cycling down. Capacitors depleted. Estimated recharge time, 4 hours. We might not need another shot, Minji said, watching the tactical display. Look at them. They're broken. The Dominion fleet was indeed broken. Without their command ship, without High Commander Krill, the aliens had no unified strategy. Individual captains tried to regroup, but they had no experience with this kind of defeat. The Dominion had won every battle for centuries. They didn't know how to handle losing. But in the chaos, one voice rose above the others, a deep, angry voice broadcasting on all frequencies. All vessels, this is Commander Tavros of the destroyer fleet. I am assuming command. All ships, status report, responses came back slowly. Of the 150 ships that had entered the solar system, only 70 were still combat ready. Another 30 might be repairable. The rest were destroyed or helplessly crippled. Tavros was a warrior, not a diplomat like Velthar or a politician like Krell. He had climbed through the ranks by being brutal and effective. And now he was furious. "Humans of Earth," he broadcast. "You have destroyed our commander and many of our ships. This was cleverly done, but it changes nothing. You have one weapon. You used it. Now you have nothing but conventional arms." Admiral Dongwu listened to the message carefully. The alien was right. Longshot needed 4 hours to recharge, and the remaining alien fleet, even damaged, still outnumbered humanity's battered forces. "We're not done yet," he said quietly. "All ships, this is Admiral Dongwu. The enemy is wounded but still dangerous. We need to keep them off balance until Longshot can fire again." "Admiral," Yuna's voice came over the channel, "I'm receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleet. They're arguing with each other. Some want to retreat. Some want to attack. They're not unified." "Good. That means they're scared." "Defense Minister Sora, are you there?" "I'm here, Admiral," Sora's voice replied. "Time for Phase 3. "Make them more scared," Sora smiled. She had been waiting for this moment. Broadcasting now. She activated Earth's communication network, sending a message to every alien ship. Her voice was calm and confident. "Commander Tavros, you are correct that we fired one weapon. What you don't know is how many more we have." It was a complete lie, but it was a believable lie. "We have been preparing for this encounter for 15 years, Sora continued. "Did you really think we would build only one defensive weapon? Even now, 4 more installations are targeting your fleet. Each one is charged and ready to fire. Retreat now, or we will continue to destroy you." To support the bluff, Dr. Minji activated hidden power stations across Earth's orbit. They hadn't been designed as weapons, but they could project enormous energy readings. On alien sensors, it would look like multiple weapons charging up. Tavros stared at his tactical display. His scanners were showing energy spikes from 4 different locations. Large ones, consistent with the weapon that had just destroyed the flagship. "It could be a trick," his tactical officer said. "Or it could be real," Tavros replied. "Can you guarantee those aren't weapons?" "No, Commander. The energy signatures are unclear." Tavros was a warrior, but he wasn't stupid. He had already lost over half his fleet. If the humans really did have more of those weapons, his entire armada could be destroyed in minutes. And even if it was a bluff, he couldn't be certain. For the first time in Dominion history, a fleet commander faced a decision that terrified him. Fight and possibly win, but definitely lose most of his ships, or retreat and live to fight another day. "All vessels," he said slowly, "begin tactical withdrawal. Fall back to Mars orbit." The alien fleet began to move away from Earth, still in combat formation but clearly retreating. They weren't surrendering, but they weren't attacking either. On Earth, in the command center, cheers erupted. People hugged each other, crying with relief. They had done it. Against impossible odds, they had driven back the alien invasion. Admiral Dongwu raised his hand for silence. "We haven't won yet. They've pulled back, but they haven't left the system. They're regrouping. When they realize we're bluffing, they might return." "So what do we do?" asked one of his officers. "We use the time we've bought. Repair our ships, recharge Longshot, and actually build more weapons. If they come back in a month, we need to be ready with more than just a bluff." Jinwu guided the damaged Horizon back to Earth's orbital docks. His ship had taken heavy fire and they had lost 30 crew members. But they had survived. Against all expectations, they had survived. "Captain, incoming message from Fleet Command," Yuna reported. "Put it through." Admiral Dongwu's face appeared on the screen. "Captain Jinwu, you and your crew performed admirably. You got us the targeting data we needed. Without that, none of this would have worked. We did our duty, Admiral." "What happens now?" Now we rebuild, and we prepare for whatever comes next." 3 days later, the Dominion fleet was still at Mars orbit. They hadn't left, but they hadn't attacked either. Both sides were in a standoff, watching and waiting. Then something unexpected happened. A small ship arrived at the edge of the solar system. Not a Dominion vessel, something else. It broadcast a simple message in multiple languages. "This is the independent trader vessel Dawnstar. We witnessed the recent battle. We come with a message for humanity. You are not alone. There are others who resist the Dominion. Others who would welcome Earth as an ally." Minister Sora authorized a response. Within hours, Representatives from 5 different alien civilizations made contact with Earth. The last 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Across Earth and all human colonies, people prepared for the worst. Some fled to underground shelters. Others gathered with family. Many simply went to work, determined to face the end with dignity. In orbit around Earth, 300 human warships formed a defensive perimeter. They were organized into battle groups, each one commanded by experienced officers who knew they were facing impossible odds. Captain Jinwoo commanded one such group, with the horizon at its center. "All ships reporting ready," Yuna said from her station. She looked tired. None of them had slept much in the past days. "Good," Jinwoo said. He pulled up the tactical display, studying the alien fleet's approach. They were close now, just beyond the moon's orbit. "Hana, how are our engines?" "Running hot, but they'll hold," Hana reported from engineering. "We can give you full power when you need it." "And our weapons?" "Every missile loaded, every energy bank charged. We'll give them everything we've got." Hana's voice was steady, but Jinwoo could hear the fear underneath. Taeyang looked up from the weapons console. "Captain, I need to say something." "Go ahead, it's been an honor serving with you. All of you." Taeyang looked around the bridge. "If this is the end, I'm glad I'm here with people I trust." "It's not the end yet," Jinwoo said. But he understood what Taeyang meant. And yes, the honor has been mine as well. Similar conversations were happening across the human fleet. People saying goodbye, making peace with what was coming. Preparing to die, Nari sat in her fighter, running pre-flight checks. Her squadron was arranged in formation behind her, 48 fighters ready to launch. She had written letters to her family, recorded goodbye messages. There was nothing left to do but wait. "Squadron leader, this is command. Stand by for launch orders." "Copy that, command." "Standing by." Nari checked her weapons one more time. Missiles, energy cannons, and one special package. Each fighter carried a high-yield nuclear warhead as a last resort. If they couldn't win, they could at least take some enemies with them. On the alien flagship, High Commander Krell studied his tactical display with satisfaction. The human fleet was arrayed before him, tiny ships trying to protect their world. It was almost admirable. But it was also pointless. "How many human ships?" he asked his tactical officer. 312 combat vessels, multiple weapon platforms in orbit, several thousand smaller craft including fighters and shuttles. And their weapons? Primitive. Nuclear warheads, chemical lasers, kinetic projectiles, nothing that can penetrate our shields at range. Krell nodded. It was as he expected. "We will make an example of them. Broadcast this battle to all Dominion territories. Let every species see what happens to those who defy us." "Yes, High Commander." The Dominion fleet advanced in perfect formation. 150 massive ships, each one a fortress of weapons and armor. They moved with confidence, knowing they were about to claim another victory. In the hidden facility, Dr. Minji watched the alien fleet on her screens. She had all the data she needed now. Velocity, heading, formation patterns. Her calculations were complete. Project Longshot could hit any ship in that fleet with 97% accuracy. "The Admiral is asking for final confirmation," Jiwon said. "Tell him we're ready," Minji replied. "As soon as we have a clear shot at the command ship, we can fire. What if we miss?" Minji looked at her assistant. Jiwon was young, barely out of university. He deserved a better future than this. "We won't miss." "We can't." Colonel Hyunwoo entered the control room. "Dr. Minji, the weapon is fully charged. All systems are optimal." "Thank you, Colonel. Now we wait for our people to get us the targeting data we need." Admiral Dongwoo sat in the main command center deep under the Swiss mountains, surrounded by screens showing the battle space. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier was under his command, and he was about to order most of them to their deaths. "All units, this is Admiral Dongwoo. The enemy is in range. Execute Battle Plan Omega. For Earth, for humanity, for freedom." The human fleet surged forward, engines blazing. They accelerated toward the alien armada in what looked like a desperate charge. Missiles launched in waves, thousands of them streaking across space. The Dominion fleet barely reacted. Their point defense systems came online, shooting down missiles by the hundreds. Energy shields flickered to life, absorbing the few missiles that got through. The human attack seemed to cause no damage at all. "They're not even trying," Krell observed. "This is beneath us. Tactical, prepare to return fire. Show them what real weapons can do." But the human fleet wasn't trying to win. They were trying to get close. Every ship had orders to push forward, to get detailed scans of the enemy fleet. They needed exact positions, exact distances, exact shield frequencies, and they needed the aliens to focus on the battle, not on scanning for hidden threats. Jinwoo's battle group was in the thick of it. The horizon shook as enemy fire began to hit nearby ships. He watched on his screen as the destroyer Incheon took a direct hit and exploded, taking 200 crew members with it. "Keep advancing," he ordered. "Yuna, are you getting the scans?" "Yes, Captain." Transmitting everything to Dr. Minji. "Hana, how much longer can we stay in the fight?" "Not long. Our shields are taking heavy damage, maybe 5 more minutes." Taeyang's console lit up with target locks. "Captain, I have firing solutions on multiple enemy ships. Take them," Jinwoo said. The Horizon fired everything it had. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic projectiles. Most were shot down or absorbed by shields, but a few got through, scoring minor damage on an alien cruiser. It wasn't much, but it was something. Nari led her fighter squadron in strafing runs against the alien perimeter ships. The fighters were small and fast, hard to target. They managed to damage several alien vessels, hitting weak points in their armor. But the cost was terrible. Nari watched as fighters exploded around her, taken out by alien point defense. She lost half her squadron in the first 10 minutes of combat. "All wings fall back to secondary positions," she ordered. They had done their job. The scans were complete. Back in the command center, Admiral Dongwu watched the casualty reports climb. 50 ships destroyed. 100. More dying every minute. But the data was coming in. Beautiful, perfect data. "Dr. Minji, do you have what you need?" he asked over the secure channel. "Yes, Admiral. I have targeting solutions. The flagship is at the center of their formation, exactly where we predicted. Can you hit it?" "Yes, then prepare to fire." "All units, this is Admiral Dongwu. Begin Phase 2. Fall back and give Dr. Minji a clear firing lane." The surviving human ships began to retreat, pulling away from the alien fleet. It looked like a rout. Like humanity had tried to fight and failed. Exactly what they wanted the aliens to think. Krell watched the human retreat with satisfaction. Pathetic. They attack, accomplish nothing, and run away. Pursue them. I want every human ship destroyed before they reach their planet. The Dominion fleet advanced, breaking formation slightly, as individual captains pursued specific targets. They were confident now, certain of victory. In the hidden facility, Colonel Hyunwoo's hand moved to the firing controls. "Dr. Minji, we're ready." Minji took a deep breath. 15 years of work. Countless hours of calculations. All of humanity's hope focused on one shot. "Fire when ready, Colonel." Hyunwoo looked at the targeting data one last time. The flagship was locked in. Distance 800,000 kilometers. Time to impact 14 minutes. Probability of hit 97%. "For Earth," he said quietly. He pressed the button. Deep inside the hollowed asteroid, electromagnetic coils began to fire in sequence. The tungsten projectile started to move, slowly at first, then faster. It accelerated down the 200-kilometer tunnel, gaining speed with every meter. Power surged through the facility. Lights dimmed across the moon as energy was pulled from every available source. The projectile became a blur, then a streak of light, then something beyond human perception. At the end of the tunnel, it shot out into space at 900 kilometers per second, 0.3% of light speed. Invisible to the naked eye. Carrying enough kinetic energy to level a city, the shot was fired. Now they waited to see if it would hit. The Luna Weapons Research Facility was hidden from the world for good reason. Built inside a crater on the far side of the moon, it had been disguised as a mining operation for over 15 years. Dr. Minji had spent most of her adult life working here, turning a dream into reality. She stood in the main control room now, watching dozens of screens showing different sections of Project Longshot. The weapon was beautiful in a terrible way. 200 kilometers of electromagnetic coils, capacitor banks, and targeting computers, all built inside a captured asteroid that had been carefully positioned in Earth's orbital path. "All systems are green," reported her assistant, Ji-won. "We're at full power for the first time ever." Minji nodded, making notes on her tablet. "Run diagnostics on the firing mechanism. I want to make sure every coil is perfect. We'll only get one shot at this." "One shot to save the world," Ji-won said quietly. "No pressure." Minji smiled despite the tension. "Actually, the pressure is quite significant. About 40 million atmospheres when the projectile reaches full acceleration. They both laughed, a brief moment of lightness in the growing darkness. Then Minji got serious again. Has the projectile been loaded? Yes. 50 tons of tungsten carbide honeycombed with antimatter charges. It's locked in the firing chamber. Minji pulled up the calculations on her main screen. The numbers still amazed her, even after years of planning. The projectile would accelerate to 0.3% of light speed. At that velocity, it would carry 450 petajoules of kinetic energy. The antimatter would add even more destructive power. It's enough to destroy a city, Ji-Wan said, reading over her shoulder. It's enough to destroy a capital ship, Minji corrected. If we can hit it, that was the real challenge. The weapon was powerful, but space combat wasn't like fighting on Earth. Everything moved fast and distances were enormous. Even a small targeting error would send the projectile shooting harmlessly into space. Far below on Earth, Admiral Dongwu gathered his commanders in the war room. The holographic display in the center showed the solar system, with glowing markers for every ship, station, and defensive position humanity had. Let's be honest, Dongwu said, looking at the faces around him. We're outmatched. The alien fleet has better weapons, better shields, and more ships. If this was a fair fight, we'd lose in an hour. So we don't fight fair, said Commander Nari, one of the fighter wing leaders. She was young, only 30, but she had proven herself in the Mars conflicts. She was also Jinwoo's younger sister. Exactly, Dongwu agreed. We have one advantage. They don't know about Project Longshot. They think we're primitives with basic weapons. We're going to let them keep thinking that until it's too late. He touched the display and the markers rearranged themselves.
Here's the plan.
Our conventional forces will engage the enemy fleet directly. Every ship, every weapon platform, everything we've got. The aliens will see us fighting with everything we have. That's suicide, said one of the commanders. Yes, Dongwu said bluntly. Many of you won't survive, but your sacrifice will serve a purpose. While the aliens are focused on the battle, you'll be gathering targeting data. Every scan, every reading, every measurement of their fleet positions. That data goes straight to Dr. Minji. Understanding dawned on the faces around the table. They weren't trying to win the fight. They were trying to give Longshot a clear shot. Once we have accurate targeting data, we fire. One shot at their command ship. If we take out their leadership and enough of their fleet, maybe the rest will retreat. Or maybe they'll be angry enough to destroy us all. Either way, we'll have shown them that humanity doesn't surrender. When do we start? Nari asked. Soon. The Horizon arrives tomorrow with Captain Jinwoo and his crew. They have detailed scans of the alien ships. We'll use those to refine our tactics. The meeting broke up and commanders hurried off to prepare their units. Dongwu remained alone in the war room, staring at the display. He had led men into battle before, but never into something like this. He was ordering thousands to their deaths, hoping it would save billions. In space, the alien fleet continued its slow advance. Aboard the flagship, a massive vessel 15 kilometers long, Ambassador Velthar reviewed reports from his scanning teams. The primitives are mobilizing their military, reported one of his officers. We detect nuclear weapons, energy weapons, and kinetic platforms. Standard technology for their development level. Velthar barely glanced at the report. He had seen it all before on dozens of other worlds. Young civilizations always thought they could fight. They never understood the vast gulf between their technology and the Dominions. How many ships do they have? He asked. Approximately 300 combat vessels, mostly small. Largest is only 2 kilometers in length. Velthar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. 300 toys against our fleet. This will be over quickly. Should we advance faster? Take their system before they can prepare? No, Velthar said. Let them prepare. Let them gather every ship, every weapon, every soldier. When we crush them despite all their efforts, the lesson will be clear. Resistance is futile. His officer bowed and left. Velthar returned to studying reports from other Dominion fleets. Humanity was barely worth his attention. Just another species that needed to learn its place. The UES Horizon docked at Earth's orbital station 2 days later. Jinwoo stepped off his ship and was immediately escorted to military headquarters. He barely had time to send a message to his sister before being pulled into briefings. In one of those briefings, he finally learned about Project Longshot. Admiral Dongwu himself explained the weapon, the plan, and the cost. You're asking us to die, Jinwoo said flatly when the briefing ended. I'm asking you to buy time for the weapon to fire. Dongwu corrected. Some of you might survive, but probably not. Probably not, Dongwu admitted. Jinwu was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood. My crew will do it. The horizon isn't much, but we'll fight. You don't have to. You already warned us. You could take your ship and try to survive somewhere else. Jinwu shook his head. Earth is my home. If it's going to die, I'll die with it. Better than living as a coward. He left the briefing and found Nari waiting outside. She had gotten his message. They hugged tightly, neither wanting to let go. Did they tell you? He asked. Yes, fighter wings are part of the plan too. We'll be in the thick of it. We could both die, Jinwu said. Probably will, Nari agreed. She pulled back and smiled. Remember when we were kids? We used to talk about exploring space together. I remember. You wanted to find aliens and make friends with them. Well, we found aliens, just not the friendly kind. She laughed bitterly. They spent the evening together along with other pilots and crew members. Everyone knew what was coming. Some people were scared. Others were angry. But everyone was determined. If humanity was going to die, it would die fighting. High above, in the hidden facility, Colonel Hyunwoo watched his technicians make final preparations. The weapon was ready. All they needed now was a target and the order to fire. Dr. Minji worked through the night running simulations. The margin for error was tiny. Everything had to be perfect. One mistake, one miscalculation, and the shot would miss. All those lives would be wasted for nothing. She couldn't let that happen. Humanity was trusting her with their last desperate gamble. She would not fail them. The alien fleet crossed into the inner solar system 20 days after their first message. They passed Mars without slowing down, ignoring the small colony there. The few thousand humans on Mars watched helplessly as the massive ships glided past, blotting out the stars. On Earth, every major city held its breath. People gathered in streets and homes, watching news feeds showing the approaching fleet. Some prayed, some rioted, some simply waited for the end. Defense Minister Sora stood in the command center watching the tactical display. The alien ships were arranged in a perfect formation, organized and disciplined. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. They probably had. They're sending another message, Yuna reported from her station. She had been assigned to Earth's main communications hub. Put it through, Sora said. Ambassador Veltar's voice filled the command center. It had been translated into human speech. But there was something wrong about it. Something cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth, your time is up. You have not dismantled your weapons. You have not accepted our authority. This is your final opportunity. Send representatives to my flagship to sign the surrender documents. Do this now, and your species will be allowed to survive as servants of the Dominion. Refuse, and we will demonstrate why resistance is impossible. The message ended. Sora looked around at her staff. Opinions? It's a trap, said one analyst. They'll take our representatives hostage. Maybe, Sora said. Or maybe they genuinely believe we'll surrender when we see their ship up close. Either way, it gives us an opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Admiral Dongwu asked. If I go to their flagship, I can see their defenses, their systems. Maybe find a weakness, Sora smiled grimly. And I can buy us time. It's too dangerous, Dongwu protested. Everything is dangerous now. At least this serves a purpose. Sora was already heading for the door. Get Captain Jinwu. He's escorted us before. He can do it again. 3 hours later, a small shuttle left Earth carrying Sora and a diplomatic team. Jinwu piloted the shuttle personally, with Taeyang serving as co-pilot. They approached the alien flagship slowly, following the coordinates provided. The ship was even bigger up close. 15 kilometers of alien metal, covered in symbols and designs that hurt to look at. Weapons batteries lined its hull, each one larger than Jinwu's entire shuttle. They could destroy us with a single shot, Taeyang muttered. They could, Jinwu agreed. But they won't. They want their surrender signed properly. The shuttle was pulled into a docking bay by some kind of tractor beam. Jinwu had never felt anything like it. The shuttle didn't just move. It was seized and controlled completely, a reminder that humanity's technology was primitive compared to this. Armored aliens met them at the airlock. They were tall, nearly 3 meters, with 4 arms and crystalline armor that seemed to grow from their bodies. They didn't speak, just gestured for the humans to follow. The interior of the ship was strange. The corridors were too wide, the ceilings too high. Everything was built for beings larger than humans. Symbols covered the walls, glowing with soft light. The air smelled wrong, like ozone and something sweet. They were led to a vast chamber at the ship's center. And there, waiting on a raised platform, was Ambassador Velthar. He was massive, even larger than his guards. His body was covered in armor that seemed to be part biological and part technological. Multiple eyes studied the humans, each one gleaming with what looked like contempt. "So these are the humans," Velthar said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Small, weak, yet you refuse to submit." Sora stepped forward, refusing to show fear. "We refuse to be slaves. There's a difference." Velthar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Such pride. We have encountered 47 species before you. All of them said similar things. All of them fought. All of them lost. Then why give us the chance to surrender?" Sora asked. "Why not just attack?" "Because the Dominion is merciful," Velthar said. "We prefer to add new species to our empire peacefully. Workers are more useful when they accept their fate." He gestured, and holographic images appeared in the air. They showed different alien species, all of them working in mines or factories or farms. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien. All of them looked defeated. "This is your future if you accept," Velthar continued. "You will serve for 200 of your years. Your children and grandchildren will serve. Eventually, if you prove worthy, you may earn limited citizenship in the Dominion." "And if we refuse?" Sora asked. The images changed. Now they showed destroyed worlds, cities burning, ships exploding, populations being exterminated. "Then you join the species that chose extinction over wisdom," Velthar said simply. 14 species have made that choice. Their worlds are now empty. We remember them as cautionary tales. Jinwoo felt sick looking at the images. Entire civilizations wiped out because they wouldn't surrender. But he also felt something else. Anger. White-hot anger at the casual way Velthar discussed genocide. Sora's face remained calm, but Jinwoo knew her well enough to see the fury in her eyes. "You've shown us your power. Now let me show you something." She pulled out a datapad and placed it on the ground between them. It displayed a map of Earth, showing cities and populations. "This is what you're threatening to destroy. 12 billion people, thousands of cultures, millions of years of evolution. All of it unique, all of it irreplaceable, all of it irrelevant," Velthar said. "You are not special. Every species thinks they are unique. None of them are." "Then you've learned nothing from 47 encounters," Sora said quietly. "You've conquered, but you haven't understood. Each species is unique, and some of us would rather die as ourselves than live as you." She triggered a hidden signal in her datapad. Immediately, Jinwoo's shuttle fired emergency thrusters, pulling away from the flagship. It was a pre-planned extraction timed perfectly. "Seal the docking bay," Velthar roared, but it was too late. The shuttle was already accelerating, using every bit of speed its engines could provide. Behind them, the aliens scrambled to respond, but they had been caught off guard. They had expected negotiations, not escape. Jinwoo pushed the engines to maximum. "That was insane," he said to Sora. "But effective," she replied. "I saw their shield generators, their weapon systems, and I saw something else." "What?" "Fear. For just a moment when I refused their offer, Velthar looked uncertain. They're used to species surrendering. They don't know how to handle defiance." The shuttle raced back toward Earth with alien fighters pursuing, but Earth's defense fleet was ready. Dozens of ships moved to intercept, firing missiles and energy beams. The alien fighters were forced to retreat. Back on the flagship, Velthar stared at the tactical display. The humans had actually escaped. Escaped from his ship. From his ship, the insult burned worse than any weapon. "High Commander Krell is requesting a communication," one of his officers reported. Velthar straightened. Krell was his superior, the overall commander of the Dominion fleet. "Put him through." A hologram appeared, showing an alien even larger than Velthar. Krell's 4 eyes blazed with anger. "Ambassador, you have failed to secure the surrender. You have allowed the enemy to board our flagship and escape. This is unacceptable." "My lord, I underestimated their—" "Silence," Krell commanded. "You are relieved of diplomatic authority. I am assuming direct command of the fleet. We will proceed with military conquest. Total warfare. These humans will be taught the cost of defiance." The hologram vanished. Velthar stood alone, his authority stripped away. Around him, the ship's systems came alive. Weapons were charged. Shields were raised. The fleet formation changed from diplomatic to battle configuration. The war had begun. On Earth, alarms sounded across every military base. The alien fleet was advancing at full speed now, no longer casual. They would reach Earth in 3 days. Admiral Dongwu watched the updated tactical display. They're angry. Good, angry enemies make mistakes. Or they're more dangerous, suggested one of his officers. Maybe both, Dongwu agreed. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All units, this is Admiral Dongwu. The aliens are coming and they're coming fast. We all know the plan. We all know the cost. In 72 hours, we either prove that humanity deserves to be free, or we die trying. There is no third option. Prepare for battle. Throughout the solar system, human ships powered up their engines. Weapons were armed. Crews said their goodbyes. And in the hidden asteroid facility, Colonel Hyunwoo began the final countdown. Project Longshot was almost ready. They just needed one thing now. A target. Captain Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the stars through the main viewport. His ship was 3 months into a routine survey mission near Jupiter's orbit. The work was boring but necessary. Humanity needed to map every asteroid, every pocket of ice, every resource in the outer solar system. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Yuna from the communications station. She was young, only 26, but she had sharp instincts. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. Jinwoo walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" "Energy readings. Massive ones. They just appeared out of nowhere." Yuna's voice was steady, but he could hear the worry underneath. Hana, the chief engineer, looked up from her station. "That's impossible. There's nothing out here that could generate that much power. Unless it's not from here," said Taeyang, the weapons officer. He was already running scans, his face lit by the blue glow of his screens. Then they saw it. Space itself seemed to tear open, like someone had cut a hole in reality. Light poured through the gap, bright and wrong. Jinwoo had never seen anything like it. None of them had. Ships emerged from the tear. Huge ships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. They were elegant and terrifying at the same time, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to shift colors. One ship came through, then another, then 10 more. They kept coming until the darkness of space was filled with alien vessels. "How many?" Jinwoo asked quietly. Taeyang checked his readings twice before answering. 150 ships, Captain. Maybe more. They're still coming through." The bridge was silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it had arrived with an armada. "Yuna, try to establish contact. Friendly protocols," Jinwoo ordered. His training kicked in, pushing down the fear. Yuna worked quickly, sending out greeting messages in every format Earth had prepared for this moment. Mathematical sequences, binary code, radio waves, and light patterns, all of them said the same thing. "We come in peace, we want to communicate." For 10 long minutes there was no response. The alien fleet simply hung in space, motionless and silent. Then Yuna's console lit up with incoming data. "Captain," they're responding. It's already translated into our language. Perfect Korean and English." "Put it on screen," Jinwoo said. Words appeared on the main display, cold and formal. "Attention, primitive species of the third planet. You are hereby notified that this star system falls under the jurisdiction of the Galactic Dominion. Your species has developed beyond your world and must now submit to established galactic law. You have 30 days to comply with the following demands. Dismantle all military installations. Cease all weapons development. Accept Dominion oversight of your civilization. Failure to comply will result in corrective action. This message will be transmitted to your home world. Ambassador Velthar, 3rd Fleet of the Dominion." Jinwoo read the message 3 times. Each time his anger grew hotter. "They're giving us an ultimatum, surrender or die." "Should we respond?" Yuna asked. "No. Send everything we have back to Earth. Every scan, every reading, every word of that message. They need to know what's coming." Jinwoo turned to Hana. "How fast can we get home?" If I push the engines to maximum 4 days, Hannah replied. Do it. We need to warn them. The horizon turned toward Earth and accelerated. Behind them, the alien fleet began to move deeper into the solar system, slow and confident. They had delivered their message. Now they would wait for humanity's response. On Earth, the message reached the United Earth Assembly within hours. Defense Minister Sora read it in her office overlooking the sprawling city of New Geneva. She was 50 years old, a veteran of the Mars colony wars, and she had spent her entire career preparing humanity for threats. But nothing had prepared her for this. She called an emergency meeting of the Assembly. Representatives from every nation and colony gathered in the Great Hall. The room buzzed with fear and anger. When Sora stood to speak, silence fell immediately. Members of the Assembly, we face an existential threat. An alien civilization has entered our solar system with overwhelming military force. They demand our surrender. She paused, looking at each face in the room. I say we refuse. Are you insane? Shouted one representative. You saw the scans. We can't fight that fleet, we'd be destroyed. Maybe, Sora admitted. But I'd rather die free than live as slaves. Our ancestors fought for their freedom. Some things are worth dying for. There must be another way, said another voice. Negotiation, compromise. Read their message again, Sora said sharply. They're not negotiating. They're telling us how things will be. They've done this before to other species. They expect us to bow because everyone else did. The debate raged for hours. Some wanted to surrender, to save whatever they could. Others wanted to fight no matter the cost. Finally, a vote was called. The decision was close, but the result was clear. Earth would not surrender. Sora left the assembly and went directly to military headquarters deep below the Swiss mountains. Admiral Dongwu was waiting for her. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been preparing for this moment since the message arrived. They voted to fight, Sora said. Dongwu nodded slowly. Then we activate Protocol Omega. How long do we have? Sora asked. The alien fleet is moving slowly. They're giving us time to think about their offer. They think we'll panic and surrender. That gives us maybe 25 days before they reach Earth. Is it ready? Sora asked quietly. Dr. Minji says yes. 15 years of secret construction and it's finally ready. Project Longshot is operational. Sora felt a weight lift slightly from her shoulders. Do the aliens know about it? No. We've kept it hidden. As far as they know, we only have conventional weapons. Nuclear missiles, laser batteries, kinetic platforms. They've probably scanned all of that already. Good. Let them think we're weak. Sora walked to the window overlooking the command center. Hundreds of people worked at their stations, coordinating Earth's defense. Send word to all military units, full mobilization. If we're going to do this, we do it right. High above Earth, hidden in a hollowed-out asteroid between the planet and the moon, Colonel Hanwu received the activation order. He had been waiting for this moment, hoping it would never come. Around him, the facility hummed to life. Lights flickered on along a tunnel that stretched for 200 kilometers. At the end of that tunnel waited humanity's secret weapon. Project Longshot was awake, and in 25 days, the galaxy would learn what humanity could do when pushed to the edge.